Good evening. So today we are going to start another area for past papers. This time it's database or database management system. Database management system is one of the important units in grade 10, along with spreadsheet. Right, spreadsheet is also there. We have to discuss. Right, up to now we didn't discuss spreadsheet too. So I thought that it is somewhat easy to manage on the board or on an online class. So that may be the reason why I have selected this unit, database management system, or simply database. But we are not going to discuss the past papers directly for this unit, because this was taught in grade 10 maybe months ago. Some of you may know everything, some of you have ideas, but some of you may have forgotten, right? So definitely you need a small revision or maybe a rapid revision prior to past paper classes, right? So for this unit and also spreadsheet, I try to take maybe 1 or 2 classes for conducting the revisions. After that, we can start the past papers, right? So here also I will do the same thing. I try to take maybe 1, but sometimes, 1 class is not enough for completing all these things. But if it is not finished today, definitely we need 1 more class for revision, right? But not, since this has already been learned or already been taught, you cannot expect me to teach everything from the beginning. You cannot expect me to teach everything in detail, right? So we have the knowledge, we have experiences. So my role here is to, remind those things, right? It is just a touch and go, right? I have to touch everything one by one, okay, right? And also I will focus only in most important things covered in examination, right? So, but in database, I think most of the things are covered in examination, but that forms or reports or macros or so such things are not included in your papers, so we can skip such area, but the others are important, okay, right? So starting from the beginning. So in database, first of all, you should understand the term database. That is important, right? So we have to define the term database first. So what is database? That may be your first thing. Right? That must be the first thing to be remembered on databases. What is database? A definition for the database. I hope that everyone knows. So it is very simple. Collection of data can be database, right? Even we can say collection of well-organized data is database, right? So because if it is a database, we always keep the data in a systematic manner. We categorize them and store them. So that's why I use the word, or I use the phrase well organized. Okay, so it is very simple. Collection of well organized data is database. So we can take so many examples for database. Or okay, let me take 1 or 2 examples again quickly. So hope I took that example earlier when I taught having or storing your friends' telephone numbers on a notebook, right? I think you have a field book or notebook, something on which you have written your friends' names along with their phone number, right? So now that document or that particular notebook can be called a database. Why or how? It has data as a collection. Having the friends' names and their mobile phone numbers are data, right? So they are data. So they are saved in a particular book. So definitely that can be called database. Even say your documents are given to your school. So when you were admitted to the school first time, these things were given, right? So your documents, certificates, right, other things were given to the school. So they keep a file for you, and inside of a file, your documents are saved, right? So that particular file is nothing, it's a database, because it is a collection of data, of your data, right? And I mean, just move to the previous example again, storing phone numbers and the names. So I already told you that it is a database. Of course, it is right. But while you're having your names, friends' names, and the phone numbers on a notebook, right? You may have another chance, or you may have another method for having them in a mobile phone. So, you know, in a mobile phone, you can save your friends' names and the mobile phone numbers. So where are they? In your phone, they might be saved in the SIM card or maybe phone memory. So that is also a database. Think about that particular SIM card. It has collection of names and the phone numbers. Definitely that is also a database. But in the previous example, that database exists in papers or in that particular notebook. But here in this example, right, but same data, right, we have same data, but in different mediums. So, but in the second example, the names and the phone numbers are kept in a SIM card, right? So even the second instance also database, right? But in the first instance, the data were kept in papers and notebooks. So, you know, that is called a manual database we discussed, right? So my second point is types of databases. Okay, so try understanding everything, even though these are very fundamentals. I try to give them because these are must, right? These can be asked in exams. So, right, you must listen to me everything carefully. So the first one is called manual database, where things were saved in papers and some manual materials, right? Maybe cardboards or whatever, right? There is no electronic medium involved, right? You cannot say that it is saved in computer or phone. There is nothing. It must be saved in manual materials, right? Maybe papers and other materials. So that is called manual. Even having your documents in a file in your school is also a manual database, right? But in the second example, we took that SIM card, right? So that particular SIM card or mobile phone has your friends' names and their mobile numbers. That is also a database because it's a collection, but there can't be manual database because here an electronic medium is involved. So since there is an involvement of electronic medium is possible, definitely it is called electronic databases. So you have two types of databases, manual database and electronic database, right? Okay, understood, right? So if it is manual and electronic, definitely there should be differences, right? So you should be able to identify these differences, or you should be able to understand these differences, right? There may be quite a lot, right? But I tried to figure out some of them, right? Not all. So let's take the differences. That may be the third one, differences. Right, look. So when it comes to differences between manual and electronic, we have numbers, right? Let's take some of the important differences. The first one, if it is manual database, you know, it is too difficult to access a data when it is required, right? So assume you have, your school has all the details of you. When your school needs some information or some data about you, definitely it takes time for, I mean, finding them, because all of them are in the file. Someone has to go to the file, particular room, and take the file and find the relevant data. Definitely it takes time. But if it is a database in the school, you know, your school can maintain an electronic database for keeping your data. So if that happens, that school doesn't spend much time in retrieving your data or finding your data. Maybe within a second, within minutes, it is found, right? So it is too fast, right? Electronic medium, it's too fast. So the electronic database is fast, but manual is not. Okay, even take a look at your phone example, mobile phone contact list. So if your contact list is in mobile phone, finding someone's contact is too easy. You can easily find it. But if it is on a notebook or diary or whatever, definitely it takes time. You have to turn over the pages for finding someone, right? So that is first one, right? Second, I don't want to, mention them. Try keeping them in your mind. Second, in electronic database, it is always too easy to update any data. See, you want someone's phone number to be modified. See, someone has changed his or her phone number. Now you have to modify that existing number in your phone. Is it easy? Yes, it's too easy. You can easily modify. I have to use the word update, right? You can easily update that phone number. You have a particular phone number, but you need to change that by another one. So that is possible because electronic mediums have facilities. But when it comes to manual database, now that phone number is written on a notebook, that person has changed his number. Now you need to change it. Definitely you cannot modify, you cannot update. You have to update by erasing or maybe using some inks or other things. So that doesn't look good, right? So updating is hard or difficult in manual, but it is easy in electronic. Then the deletion of a data. So if you think that data is no longer needed, it is too easy to delete in electronic databases. Take that mobile phone example again, right? I don't want someone's contact. So it's too easy for deleting that person's contact detail from my phone, right? All you need to do is just select and delete. That's enough, it's gone. But think about that, diary or notebook example. So there, if you don't want someone, definitely you need to delete that by erasing or by using some other pens or some other ink. So it is not good. That is not the way for deleting someone's detail, right? So deletion is little difficult in manual, but it's too easy in electronic. Then, when it comes to database, you need security. You want security because you have the data. Sometimes those data are very sensitive, right? So you have to keep them securely. So when it comes to electronic database, you have some mechanisms, you have some technologies which can ensure the security of the data, right? So, we have methods, right? I don't want to explain everything, just want to name them. So we can back up the data, we can take backups, and we can use encryption technology, right? Keeping them in unreadable format, that is encryption, right? So even you can use passwords because to prevent some unauthorized access. So we have some technologies which can be useful for protecting the data in electronic. But think about manual databases, think about your diary example again, diary which has contact details, that doesn't have any security, right? So it can be damaged by insects, it can be damaged by some other natural disasters, people can steal that. There is no other techniques, right? You cannot use any other techniques that you used in electronic. You can't take the backup, you cannot take the photocopies in multiple times, that doesn't work. And also you cannot use encryption or other things. So that is too tough. So manual database doesn't have security, but electronic has. Okay, so we have quite a lot differences. Try remembering. So now you all realize that electronic database is the best one because it has so many advantages. So even though I mentioned these things as disadvantages, look, in electronic point of view, actually they are advantages, right? Easy updation, easy deletion, quick retrieval, having more security, right? So everything is the advantage of electronic. That may be the reason why nowadays all these databases turn to electronic. It's too difficult to find a database which is in manual format, right? So every database turns into electronic databases nowadays because it has so many advantages. Okay, right? So these are the first three things you should remember, right? Okay, hereafter we have to take another one. So hereafter we have to discuss about electronic databases. So when it comes to electronic databases, there is a name which needs to be given importance, right? So that is DBMS. Okay, so try taking a note of it, then only you can understand, right? So don't expect me to give everything in written, right? So whenever, if you feel that it is important, take a note of it. So here I'm writing all these things because I feel that they are important. So definitely you should also feel that they are important, right? So have a piece of paper or maybe a notebook, or even you can use your exercise book and try writing some of the things, right? Okay. So DBMS, which is database management system. So as we studied earlier, DBMS is an application software for managing the databases. Look at the name, as the name implies, database management system. So it's a system, which means it's a software, application software, which is used for managing the database. What does it mean, managing the database? Creating the databases, storing the data in the database, retrieve the database when retrieve the data when they are needed. So everything comes under the term management, right? So the softwares used for creating and managing the data are called database management systems, right? So we have so many database management systems. Hope you remember some of them. We have Microsoft Access, right? We have Microsoft Access, and also we have LibreOffice Base, right? That is open source. Access is license, and also you have MySQL, right? You have Oracle, you have Paradox. Okay, so these are application softwares taken as DBMS. All these can create the databases, and also this can be used for managing the data. Okay, so these are DBMS, right? The next topic would be right. The next one, this must be question number 5, right? So now the next fifth one. Right, the question fifth should be the objects used in DBMS, right? Because in database management system, we manage the data. So in order to manage the data, try to understand the term manage includes several activities. Okay, creating the databases, storing the data in databases, retrieving the data when needed, even taking the data for taking prints, right? So it needs so many things, or it includes so many things, right? So for performing these activities, we use some tools called objects in database management system, right? So that would be my next question, number 5, the objects in DBMS. Right, so we have some objects, but for us, four of them are important, right? So we have table, that is one. Okay, we have a query. We also have forms and report. Right, so all these 4 objects are very useful in managing the data or in managing the databases. Okay, tables, queries, forms, reports. Every object has its own function. I'm not going to explain them in detail, but let me give a very short idea, right? Because that's more than enough for exam. Table. So table is an object in DBMS for storing the data. That's very simple, right? We use tables for storing the data. So what are inside of a table? Simply data. Okay. Second. query. I already told you that a DBMS is not only for storing the data, it is also for retrieving the data, because you know, if it is storing only, that doesn't make any sense, because you can keep the data all the time, but you are unable to give anything when it is necessary. So creating or having a database should give benefits for the public or to the users, right? So definitely you should be able to find the data when you need something, right? So that is the role of the query. So what does query perform? It is used for retrieving the data when some data are needed. Assume you have data in your school, your data are there, all of your data are there, names, admission number, right, date of birth, gender, age, parents detail, all of them are kept. But when your school needs the data like your names and maybe your your religion or something, definitely it should help them to find it, right? That may be the function of a query. Okay, so I can explain in detail, but I don't want. So query is for retrieving the data or finding the data from databases. Okay, form. So why form? Form is an ideal tool for inserting the data to the table, right? Don't forget, table is the object which keeps the data. But sometimes inserting the data to the table directly is uncomfortable. As users, we feel some problems in inserting the data to the table directly. So we all like to have another component or another object called form. Through the form, data can be inserted to the table. Have you understood? I'm not trying to say that the form keeps the data, right? It never, right? So table is the one which keeps the data. But by using the form, it is too easy to insert the data to the table. Through the form, data are sent to the table. Okay, that is form. So why form? It is for inserting the data to the table. Finally, you have report. What is it? So it is for taking the data from the database and print, right? For printing purpose. See, you know, all the data are there in your database in table. Table is the tool which has the data. So when you need some data to be printed out, right? Use the tool report. So with the help of the report tool, you can easily print whatever data that you need from the databases. Okay, so very short: table for storing the data, query for retrieving the data from the table, form for inserting the data to the table, report for taking the prints from table or from databases. Okay, so these are the objects, right? Objects found in DBMS, right? So thereafter, right? So hereafter, you need to understand some of the important things about table, right? So these are very important. Listen to me. So let's take a table. Right, so straight away I take a small table, sample table, and try to introduce some of the terms to be introduced or to be taken into account, right? So let's take that. So this is a table for storing students' data. I have a table for storing student data. So this table has some columns. Let's take, this is admission number, okay, student names, let's say the student's date of birth, okay, student, let's say age or something, age, and now this enough. So let me add 2 or 3 students details, then only I can explain some of the terms. So I need some data. So let me take a student name. sorry, admission number 1000. Okay, so I take the name as Kamal or something. Date of birth, so I write it in short, right? 10/10/90, 1990, simply 90, right? So there is an age or something, right? So there is another person, 1005. I take him as Vimal. So his date of birth. So this is second person. Third, 1006. I take him as Nimal. '91 or something. Okay, right. Listen, enough. So this is a typical table. This is how a table in DBMS looks like, right? So you have columns, right? So and also you have rows. Everything is a row, right? You have 3 rows and you have 4 columns. But here in database management system, the vertical components that you always used to call them as columns, right? So these are called fields. So here admission number, right? Name, date of birth, age. These columns are called fields. Sometimes called attributes. Right? Attributes. You know, attribute is nothing, it's a characteristic, feature, right? So everything is a characteristic of a person. Maybe admission number is one of the characteristics, having name, age, date of birth. So that may be the reason why it gets the name attribute. But often we use the word field in grade 10 and 11 syllabuses. Okay, right. So remember that term, fields are vertical components, in fact columns in table, right? Okay. Now look horizontally. So you have a row there, you have second row, third row, right? We have 3 rows. So every row has a student's detail. Look here, in first row, the details of Kamal are inserted. In the second row, details of Vimal saved. In the third row, we have Nimel's record detail. So every row here in database management system called records. Everything is called record. So sometimes called tuple, right? Record or tuple. Every row is a record. Every column is a field, right? So now in this table, you have 4 fields and also you have 3 records. Have you understood? These terms are very important because, you know, these things can directly be asked in MCQs, right? They may put up a table on your examination paper and ask these questions. How many fields are there or how many records are there? Such questions are always expected. Okay, so they are simple, right? So now you know this structure of a table, and also you know you can understand these 2 words, right? Field as well as record. Okay, right. Then now take the first field. Have a close look at the first field, right? Look at the first field. So in the admission number field, you have data. I try to highlight them, right? These are data, right? So in the first field, you have data. What are the data found? 1000, 1005, 1006. If you take this data, you can find a similarity because all these data seem to be numbers, right? Look there, 1005, 1000, 1006. There is no text or there is no other data. So they are numbers. Okay, so these are numbers. But look at the second field, name, right? So this name has these data. Kamal, Vimal, what? Nimal. So look here, these data are not numbers. There are no numbers involved. these are pure text. It may be English or it may be Tamil or whatever language, doesn't matter, right? Language is not the barrier here. So if you have letters, right? So this, okay, before that I should mention one thing. So here in every field you have data which exists in a particular type, right? I'm talking about the type of data. So look here, we already identified the data which are in admission number as number type, right? So they are numbers. Okay, but look here, in the name field, there are no numbers. You don't have any numbers. They are related to text, or they are related to letters or characters. So these are called, this type of data is called text. Okay, so I'm talking about data types. So first data type. Okay, I'm talking about data types. So first data type here, it's number. So in the second field, right, that name doesn't have any numbers, they are letters. So that data type is called text. Okay, so that is the second one. Look at the third field, date of birth. So that date of birth field has date, month, year. Yes, there is a dot in between them, right? You have dots, not one dot, two dots, right? You have two dots. So this is not number, because if it is number, it must have pure numbers like this one, or maybe this age. You have a look at that age. Age has numbers, but this is not number. Even you can't say text. Okay, before I take this one, I must tell you one more thing. So don't think that text includes only letters, right? Actually, the data type text is a mixture, right? It can have text along with numbers, maybe symbols. So it's a combination. For example, assume that there is a field called address, right? You have a field as address, in the name of address. So now imagine the data which the field address has. Definitely if it is address, so if I write 123, comma, Brown Road, Jaffna. So 123, I put a comma, Brown Road, Jaffna. Now look at the data which exists in this address, 123, that's number. I have a comma, that is symbol. Brown Road, Jaffna, that is text. So my address has numbers, symbol, and letters. So don't think that it is a special data type, it is different than text. No, it is text, right? So the data type text is a combination of text, numbers, symbols. Even pure text also text, right? So here you don't have any symbols, you don't have any numbers, only letters. This is also text, right? Okay. So what is it, date of birth? So this is not text, this is not number. For representing dates, maybe times, you have a special data type called date or time. But in this case, there is no time at all, right? This DOB field doesn't have any time. So if it is a data type, if you ask to write the data type for DOB here, you could write date. That's enough. That can be accepted because here there is no date involved. So what's the data type used here? Even I can say date. But mostly we write the data type for such thing along with time. So we always write date or time. But even if you write date, definitely it is accepted because it has only date. Okay. So what's the data type here? Date or time. Number 3. This is date or time. Put a slash, right? That means O. Date or time. Okay. So that is third one. Okay. Fourth. Yes, we already discussed that this data type is number, right? Because age is in numbers, so definitely it's number. But apart from these three data types, these are called data types, types of data. So in addition to these 3 data types, we have 2 more data types. They are also common types, right? So let's insert another field there. Okay, let me insert the field. I'm going to erase this and insert another one. Like, even though it is not suitable for this table, I add it. I try to add it because to introduce. And let me take this as fee. Right? I have a field called fee. So this has some fees, right? So like 500 rupee. Right? I can put the cents too, right? 500, 200 rupee. Right? 1000 rupees. Right? Okay. The field fee has data which are related to money, which are related to currency. You can't say that they are numbers. It seems to be number, but we can't say that they are numbers because they are related to currency. So if a field has data which is in currency format, it may be any type of currency. It may be Sri Lankan rupee, it may be a dollar, it may be right euro or whatever. Definitely it can be taken as currency, right? That is the next data type, currency, right? So that is number 4. Okay, so currency, right? So we have one more data type. We have 5 commonly used data type. I'm not trying to say that all the data are divided into 5. There may be more than 5 types, but these are the most common data types, right? You can find such data types everywhere, right? So that would be the last one. Okay, let me add one more field there. Right, I add a field there. So simply I put, since it's a table with students data, I can put a simple idea like passed in scholarship exam, right? Passed in scholarship. Okay, now I take another exam, another one. Okay, let me change that as stay in hostel. I put a question mark there. Stay in hostel, question mark. So it seems that it expects yes or no there, because look at the heading, look at the field name. These are field names. Huh? Everything is called field name. Everything is a field, but there is a name, so that they are field names. Look at the field name, stay in hostel, but note there is a question mark. So now we should know that if Kamal stays in the hostel, we have to say yes. If Kamal doesn't stay in the hostel, definitely it is no. So now this field definitely has yes or no. You cannot include any other data, because if a student stays, it is yes. If it is doesn't, definitely no. So since this field has only yes or no, such data can be taken as Boolean, right? Boolean, that is our feedback. Boolean data type. You know, Boolean, even in logic gates we discussed, right? So, you know, an input can be high, which means 1. Sometimes that input can be low, which is 0. So there the Boolean concept is taken. You have only 2 values. Sometimes it is high, which means having electricity, it is 1. Sometimes there is no electricity, it is 0. So that is Boolean there, having 2 values. So here also you have only 2 values, yes or no, right? So that is called Boolean. Okay, so this is also important. There can be 5 types of data found in tables, right? So they are numbers, text, date or time, currency, Boolean. So if it is number, only numbers are there. Those data exist in number format only. If it is text, it is a mixture, it's a combination, right? That data may exist only in text. The data may exist in text and number format. Sometimes the data exists in text, number, symbol. Anything is called text. Okay, right. The next would be what? date or time. So if it is date or time, your data should be related to either date or time. Okay. Then currency. So your data should be in any type of currency format. Okay. It may be any types. Around the world, we have so many types of currencies. So any type is possible. Finally, Boolean. So Boolean should have data in yes or no format or true or false format. Sometimes on off format. Okay, they are called Boolean. Right. So these are the 5 data types. Right. And then next one, we should understand one more thing in this table. So let me explain that too. Right. Have a look at this table. In this table, look each field again, right? So if it is first field, look here, right? In the first field, you have data in numbers, right? In number format. In name, you have data in text format. In date of birth, DOB, you have data in date format. In fees, the data exists in currency format. In the last field, which is stay in hostel, has data in Boolean format. So now you can understand one important thing. Look, the field has similar type of data. If you take a field that must have same type of data, look here, this admission number field doesn't have data in different types. That has only one type, right? If it is number, all of them are numbers. You know, there is no mixture. A school never maintains an admission numbers in number format as well as text format. That doesn't happen. That is quite unusual, right? So they use a uniformity or they follow a uniformity. So this has only numbers. Look here, in the name field has only text. You can't say that numbers and text are mixed or date and text are mixed. Only one type. Okay, only one type. So this is one important conclusion. A field has data in similar type, in same type, right? So if it is a field, definitely all the data in that particular field belong to one data type. It may be any data type, but we don't know what it is, but definitely it belongs to one, right? So now think about row. So now we take an important conclusion, right? A field has similar type, right? If it is field that has data in similar type. Okay, right. Now look at the first row, which means first record, right? Take a look at the first record. So in the first record, you have this data, right? You have this data. 1000, Kamal, 10, 10, 90, 500, yes. These 5 data make the first record, right? When all these 5 data combine, you know, first record is created, right? So now check the first record. Earlier we checked the field, every field, and found that a field has similar type of data. But now I'm checking the row, which means I'm checking the record, right? So look at the first record. That first record has data as 1000, Kamal, 10, 10, 90, 500 years. So definitely you can see first one in number format, second one in text format, third one in date or time format, fourth in currency format, finally, right? Finally, that is in Boolean format. So what does it mean? A record has different types of data. That matches for second record too, right? I'm not going to take one by one, but have a look at the second record. That also has number, text, date or time, currency, Boolean. So this is the conclusion. A field has similar type of data, but a record has different types of data, right? So this is the second one, record that has different types of data. Okay, so don't forget these things. This can be asked in exams. Got it? Okay. Right. So hereafter, right, hereafter, we need to start another important thing, which is keys, right? Keys in the databases or keys in databases. Right? So this may be another important thing, keys. So almost I have explained 50% of the syllabus. So hereafter I have to take two important things. Definitely that takes time. First one is keys. Second one, the next one, that would be the last one to be explained in this unit, relationships, right? So before I explain the relationship, let me explain the term key. So as I told you earlier in the classes, you know, keys are nothing. They are fields in a table. Don't forget, a table has fields, right? So fields can be taken or can be called keys. But not all the fields can be taken or can be called keys. You cannot see in the previous example, I have displayed a table with 5 fields. 5 or 6 fields, right? But not all these fields can become as keys. But definitely keys should be field. There is no doubt. But if a field wants to become as a key, definitely that field must have some qualities or some eligibilities. So we can define some of the fields as keys when they have some eligibility. So when they have some qualities, I will explain clearly about such thing. Okay. So this should be your first idea. If you see a word key, definitely take them as fields, right? Okay. In a database, we use various keys for controlling and managing the data, right? Even look here, as I always say, a building or maybe a house or maybe a motor car is controlled by a small instrument called key. That big building, big house is controlled, is operated by particular small object. That's why it takes the name key, because it's very important for operating. Even a motor car or whatever vehicle, right, that has so many parts, but that is operated by a small instrument. That is important, right? So that's why it gets the name key. But here also you have so many fields, they have data, but in order to control the data or in order to maintain them, you need some special fields. They are called keys, right? So we have number of keys in databases, but as someone who studies basics, it is expected to remember 3 keys, right? As a grade 10 student, you need to remember 3 different keys. Okay, let's name them first. First one is primary key. Right? There is a field called primary key. I will explain. Second, foreign key. And third, better I take the composite key second, then third foreign key, right? That may be the best way to explain. Second, composite key. But I think in your book that is named as composite primary key, right? Doesn't matter, composite key or primary key. finally foreign key. Right, foreign key. So these are nothing, these are fields, but these fields can do some special tasks or special things for the databases. That may be the reason why they get the special names like primary key, composite primary key, and foreign key, right? So now we need to take them one by one. We should understand the term primary key first, and then composite primary key, and finally foreign key. Okay, it would be better if I explain, or if I start them in the next class, in a fresh class, because you know these things need some sort of explanation. So definitely I need some time to explain. Even I cannot explain the primary keys during this short period of time, right? So if you have any questions, ask me, right? If you have any questions, ask me. I mean, regarding today's lesson, because we are going to wind up. I know that none of you have, right? Okay, these are the things we discussed. Two types of databases, manual, electronic. Look at the differences here. More okay, accuracy also there. I missed it. Remember that, right? Electronic has accurate, more accurate. They are less. Even physical space there, it needs more less physical. They are more. Updation is easy, they are difficult. Deletion easy, they are difficult. More security, less security. Even manpower, because electronic databases, most of the things are done electronically, so you don't need many humans, right? So less manpower, they are more manpower. And even data duplication can be there in manual, but it is less in electronic. So then we talked about DBMS, an application software which has various objects to manage the database is called DBMS. There are some examples given: Access, Base, Oracle, MySQL, Paradox. Right, objects. The objects used to manage the database are called database objects: table, query, form, report. Okay, so I explain these things. You have table with field, right? Table and record. Okay, then discuss about data types. We have numbers. Numbers can be integer or real, right? Which means whole numbers, right? Whole numbers are called integers, plus or minus, positive or negative, doesn't matter. Whole numbers are called integers. Decimal numbers, numbers with decimal points, can be called real numbers, right? But both of them are numbers, right? So don't take integer as one data type and real is another. Both are included in number. Text, okay, currency, date or time, Boolean, right? So these are enough for today. So I need maybe another class for completing this one, because definitely I need to explain the keys and relationships in detail, because that may be the reason, that may be the area where most of the students face problems, right? So definitely that must be explained in detail. So definitely I hope to take another class to revise the things. Thereafter we can start doing the past papers, right? So that's it for today. We will meet in another class. Thank you.